Following another disappointing defeat to Aston Villa by 2-0, the moment that Chelsea fans thought might never happen has actually occurred. Chelsea have sacked manager Graham Potter. Join me as we go through their statement and talk about how this has occurred. Please like the video and subscribe, it really would mean a lot to me. But now, let's talk about Chelsea sacking manager Graham Potter. This comes after a disappointing run of results in the Premier League in his 7 months in charge as Chelsea manager. In those 7 months, he has managed them for 22 Premier League matches, getting them 7 wins, 7 draws, and 8 defeats. They've conceded 21 goals while also scoring 21 goals, giving them a goal difference, obviously, of 0. And they've failed to score in 9 of those 22 games. Deemed just not good enough by the Chelsea hierarchy. Chelsea's statement reads as follows. Chelsea FC have announced that Graham Potter has departed the club. Graham has agreed to collaborate with the club to facilitate a smooth transition. In this time with the club, Graham has taken us to the quarter-final of the Champions League, where we will face Real Madrid. Chelsea would like to thank Graham for all of his efforts and contribution and wish him well for the future. The statement continues. Bruno Salto will take charge of the team as interim head coach. Co-controlling owners Todd Bowley and Begdad Ekbali said, on behalf of everyone at the club, we want to thank Graham sincerely for his contribution to Chelsea. We have the highest degree of respect for Graham as a coach and as a person. He has always conducted himself with professionalism and integrity, and we are all disappointed in this outcome. Along with our incredible fans, we will all be getting behind Bruno and the team as we focus on the rest of the season. We have 10 Premier League games remaining and a Champions League quarter-final ahead. We will put every effort and commitment into every one of those games so that we can end the season on a high. Interesting. It's interesting because of the just general intention that this statement has. They claim that they want to have it for a high for the end of the season, but then what comes after the end of the season? Graham Potter was given a 7-year contract to fulfill the long-term duties of Chelsea Football Club, and if they can't make it past 7 months, I wonder what went wrong for them to not be able to see a future with this current manager. Surely they haven't just looked at the past 7 months and thought that this end of the season is going to be poorly, so we need to change now. Surely they've thought of something that has really impacted the way they've thought about the next 7 years that they were possibly going to give Graham Potter and come to the realization that something had gone wrong. Especially when I'd make the argument that what actually did go wrong was partially down to the owners themselves. This is Chelsea's squad, and we're looking at this squad because I want to try and illustrate the problems that the board have given Graham Potter over the course of his tenure at the club. We have 4 goalkeepers here. Fine. 2 of them are backups, 2 of them are mainstays. Fine. That's okay. We can move over to the defenders now. We have Wesley Fofana. We have Badiashile, Koulibaly, Chalobah, Silva, Cucurella, Chilwell, Hall. It goes on. We have Fofana, who was recently signed. Badiashile, who was recently signed. Koulibaly. You see where I'm going. Now, the defenders aren't too much of an issue here, but my point is, with the amount of players that you're literally throwing at Graham Potter, it's going to take him time to be able to instill or get a style of play and or a starting 11 that he seriously trusts. He was starting to get that, so it baffles me why you've decided to sack him now. On top of the amount of players that he has. Lewis Hall, how is he going to get into the starting 11 with Ben Chilwell, Cucurella, Reece James and Azpilicueta on the side? How? He doesn't. Okay, so he's unhappy, but he's just been called up by Chelsea. It's made his dream come true. He's now a Chelsea footballer, so what happens to him? Does he just sit in limbo? Who knows? We move on. We can have a look at the midfield now. And the midfield gets even worse. We have N'Golo Kante, Zakaria, Fernandes, Kovacic, Gallagher, Loftus-Cheek, Chukwuemeka, Mason Mount. Okay, fine. Kante has been injured, but Kante will want to play every game. Okay, so that's 1 starter. Zakaria has played. Not a lot, but he's recently signed from Chelsea. He likes Chelsea. He's 26 years old. He sees his future at Chelsea, so he will want to play. So that's a maybe. We have Enzo Fernandez, who's recently been the most sought after and highly paid for midfielder of all time. So he's going to want to play, so that's another starter. We have Mateo Kovacic, who's been one of Chelsea's best players over a certain period of time, and he is a mainstay in the Croatian national team, so he's going to want to start. Conor Gallagher has been brought back from Crystal Palace and has been not let out on loan and not sold because he wants to play, so he will want to start. Loftus-Cheek has stayed at Chelsea for gosh knows how long, without getting a move and just being on the edges and peripheries of every single Chelsea team that I can remember. So will he want to start? Who knows? Chukwuemeka has recently just been signed. He probably will not be a starter because he's only 19 years old, so that's fine. Mason Mount will want to start because he's Mason Mount and he is now negotiating a new contract, so he will want game time to be guaranteed. That's 4 midfielders out of the amount of midfielders that we've seen here, and that's not even counting Kai Havertz. That's also not counting midfielders or wingers. That's not counting wingers or forwards. Here are the wingers and forwards. Mudryk has recently just been signed. He will want to start. Now, I'm sure he's happy to be coming in and out of the side at the moment, but he will want to start. He's a very expensive player. He will want to start. Raheem Sterling has just signed from Man City. He gave up trophies for this. He will want to start. Pulisic, he will want to start. 24 years old. There's a World Cup coming around the corner. That's the next big tournament. He will want to start. Madueke has just moved. He will want to start. Ziyech has left because he's not starting, or he's wanting to leave because he's not starting, and you still couldn't get him to leave, Chelsea. You couldn't get him out the door. He was crying in Paris, waiting to leave, and you couldn't get it to happen. So Ziyech is a no-go, and then you have all these players, and you sign Joao Felix. Why? What possible good could come from this? We keep going. Armando Broja has been promised, I imagine, game time. He will want to start. So will Fofana, who is a new signing. He's a new signing. Look, new signing. And then you have Aubameyang at the bottom here. He will want to start as well. You can't start all these players. Physically impossible. You also can't keep all of these egos happy. And this is where my point is going. In not allowing Graham Potter to create his starting 11 from his own head and from scratch, and not giving him the chance to get rid of players, he has been doomed from the get-go, just from the off. This entire project has failed. Now, obviously it's failed because they're losing and he's been sacked, but my point is it was doomed to fail from the beginning. If you were always going to give him this amount of players, which isn't always a good thing, by the way, giving managers tons of talent and tons of players, especially in this quantity, is not a good thing, because managers like to know their players, they like to know their squad. It's not playing Football Manager. You have to talk to these people. You have to understand why they want to be there. You have to understand what they want from their life. You have to understand why they want to play, and how you will need to instill a belief in them, in a belief in a system that they create. But all of that is going to be doomed if you do not give Graham Potter, or if you weren't going to give Graham Potter the time to be able to instill that, or at least to understand it. 7 months is nothing in management. Nothing. When you're trying to learn, especially at the rate and with the pressure that Chelsea have, it's always going to be about the results. And I understand the results have not been good enough, but the squad here has been letting him down to a ridiculous degree. Look how many strikers they have. Joao Felix isn't an out-and-out striker. Broja is, but he's injured. Fofana is, but he's not really fit or eligible at the moment, and he's only 20. Aubameyang is not really there at the moment. Ziyech is not a striker. Madueke is not a striker. Pulisic, not a striker. Sterling, not a striker. We can go on. And we will. Mudryk is not a striker. Chelsea need a striker. They're doing everything but scoring goals. Yet, their one striker in Romelu Lukaku is currently scoring goals off in Italy. And you've sacked a manager because he's not scoring goals. It's baffling. He's literally walking the ball towards the net and these players can't put it in. And then you have the issue of managing the squad, managing the egos, managing everything, and if you were never going to give him at least 1 year. 1 year. How bad could it be? You finished 13th. 13th. I'm going to be really honest with Chelsea fans at the moment. You're not winning the Champions League. It's not happening. I'm sorry, it's not. It wasn't going to happen. And I will be absolutely amazed if it does. You have a chance, everyone has a chance, but it's not going to happen. So why couldn't it have happened under Potter? At least give him the time to be able to instill a philosophy and go for next year. If you were going to sack Tuchel at the start of the season and hire Graham Potter only to sack him 7 months later, what was the point? What was the point? Madness. Nevertheless, the madness of Chelsea Football Club must continue, which means they need to find a new manager. Perhaps recently sacked Julian Nagelsmann might be the name on the lips of Chelsea fans. He would walk in instantly, I would imagine, and try to transform the dressing room into something that would be a little bit more fitting of this great London club. Chelsea, let me know how you're feeling about this. Would you like Julian Nagelsmann as your next manager? And do you think he would have the impact that you're hoping for? The impact possibly that you were hoping Graham Potter would have? Let me know. I would love to hear from you. That's it for today, guys. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave the video with a like and subscribe if you haven't for more content like this coming very soon. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well. You don't want to miss what's coming up in the near future. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on Graham Potter getting sacked and who you believe should be next Chelsea coach. Let me know. I would love to hear from you. Like I said, that's it from me for today. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care of yourselves and bye-bye.